Hello, this is Kip Wilson, and this is my Building Leadership Practicum completed in the spring of 2013 at USD 355 Ellenwood Public Schools. This practicum will include a personal introduction, philosophy statement, description of major objectives, activity logs, activity summaries, reflective stages, bibliography, signature of field supervisor, and acknowledgments. I'm a native of Strong City, Kansas, and a 2005 graduate of Bethany College. I'm in my 8th year in education and currently serving as the 712 Activities and Athletic Director at USD 355. My wife Courtney is an 8th grade science teacher in Great Bend, Kansas, and we are expecting our first child in November of 2013. I believe that an effective education is a partnership between teacher and student, and that it is the role of the building leader to facilitate that partnership. I believe that curriculum needs to be active, engaging, and rigorous. I believe that technology in the classroom should be embraced and that its implementation into the classroom will only aid in students' chances for future successes. I believe that an administrator is responsible for ensuring a safe, well-organized, and well-maintained learning environment. The major objectives for my practicum were to assist in the daily operations and tasks faced by administrators, to learn strategies for effectively managing the secondary organization, to familiarize myself with elementary curriculum standards, design, and implementation, to further my development as Activities and Athletic Director, and to gain meaningful, practical knowledge of the legal context by which schools operate. Here are my district level activities, my elementary level activities, and secondary activities, all completed for the purposes of the practicum. Some of my district level activities included board meetings and board reports, participation in executive session, involvement in strategic planning meetings that included patrons as well as school officials and were facilitated by an outside party, with the final outcome to be a 2 to 3 page practical and usable plan that identifies goals, vision, and philosophies for the district. I took part in an unemployment hearing that dealt with the termination of a classified employee when they were trying to obtain unemployment benefits following their termination. And I also sat in on a meeting with Superintendent Ben Jacobs to gain some information and insight into health insurance costs that are set to go up approximately $36,000 to USD 355 due to rising costs with the SDAC insurance group. The document to the left includes premiums that Ellenwood USD 355 will be facing next year. As part of my plan to gain some insight into elementary curriculum planning and implementation, I did sit in on a meeting of Common Core, going over Common Core standards with our first grade team. Right here is a picture of me going over some of the indicators and when they will be taught. They took each standard, unpacked them, and created a lesson for each of the 24 indicators. Here are some of the materials that they've created for themselves, including quarterly pacing charts, quarter outlines, and assignment and practice reproducibles. I did the same with Pathways to Reading, which is our grade school phonics program, where I sat in on a meeting to learn more about the program and then observed a lesson in dealing with PTR. These documents illustrate the parallels between PTR outcomes and the Common Core standards. I shadowed Mr. Todd Bean, the principal at Roosevelt Elementary in McPherson, and dealt with discipline issues when both principals were away at conferences. I also took part in Kindergarten Preview Day for our pre-K students. Secondary activities. We hosted Regional Scholars Bowl for the first time this year, which was a very challenging event to put on, but very rewarding. Here I am shown in front of the scores table, which was my role during the tournament to ensure accurate scoring. Inclement weather caused us to reschedule a lot of sub-state basketball games and locations here, and this is you see a picture on the bottom left there of some of the weather conditions that forced us to change. We also hosted the League Music Festival this year for the first time. I'm pictured here taking certificates and making sure they get to the right schools for the kids' performances. Middle school track meets took on a new challenge this year as we implemented new meet manager software as well as a new timing system. And winter sports supervision was included because of the variety of administrative tasks that come up when supervising any contest, with the AD responsibilities of fulfilling CASHA responsibilities, evaluating coaches, supervising and setting up facilities, and also counting gate receipts and taking care of the financial obligations. The Egghead Banquet was combined with the Academic Awards Night at Ellenwood High School this year. The Egghead Banquet had been going on since the 1960s, but we did want to reduce the amount of banquets in the spring, so we combined the two very seamlessly. I'm shown here presenting the Kansas State High School Activities Association Citizenship Award. Skip Yowell was brought in and agreed to speak to our kids on a theme you can get there from here, and talked about his business successes and how he started in Great Bend, Kansas. We also had a situation come up where a chemistry teacher notified us that we had a high volume of chemicals that needed to be removed from the classroom, at which time a wing in the building had to be shut down so an agency could come in to remove the chemicals and the materials, and I had to reschedule classes around other planning periods and available spaces to ensure that those teachers from that wing could still have class time. I am currently serving on an iPad committee that is exploring the possibilities of a one-to-one iPad initiative for USD 355. I did shadow Mr. Tim Freese, the principal at Great Bend High School, and points of emphasis during this time were iPad walkthrough evaluations, discipline model, power teaching, and the day-to-day operations and duties of an administrator. Similarly, I did the same at Abilene Middle School, again with the points of emphasis including one-to-one iPads, discipline models, and was also able to attend the district administration meeting. Here are some examples of some of the ISS work that they implement to try and change behavior and reinforce desired social skills in the classroom. Here's an example of the Abilene Middle School point system. I did take care of attendance and tardy policy violators throughout different times in the semester. Here's an example of an attendance report to help me carry out that task. Weightlifting supplements was a disciplinary issue that came up that I was able to take the lead on and work through. Prom supervision, I'm shown here administering the breathalyzer, which we do before all school dances, as well as the after prom party. I was able to follow the agent with Providence Working Canines as he conducted a drug dog search in our school parking lots. Here's an example of the statement or the report filled out each time that the canine were to alert on a car and that car consequently needed to be searched. Prior to the beginning of this practicum, I'd been fortunate enough to be exposed to a wide variety of administrative tasks, and I felt very confident in my abilities to take on those tasks and also to seek out meaningful and informative tasks for the purposes of the practicum. My biggest concern was going to be finding the time enough to log the hours and also to come up with the documentation and evidence for the portfolio, since the nature of some practicum activities can be confidential. I was very surprised and pleased about as soon as I made my intentions known to the district administrators how often they came to me and let me aid in some of their processes or even take the lead in some of the things that needed to be done throughout the district. A major issue that I had, that I see with some of the administrators that I work with daily is the fact that they have to spend so much time on a lot of the day-to-day things like facility concerns, discipline issues, paperwork, and so on, and that takes away a lot of the valuable time from the bigger picture items. This brings up the question of how do we develop a system that allows for the appropriate amount of attention and effort to be given to all necessary issues, objectives, etc. A lot of my time this semester was taken up by either aiding in or discussing discipline models. And I think the key here is that you seek out and establish an effective system early on so that other big picture issues can be attended to and realized in a timely fashion. All parts Discipline, curriculum, instruction, evaluation, etc. They all have an important place in the everyday job of an administrator. However, I think one of the keys is to try to balance those and make sure that none receives more attention than the other. The practicum provided me with many opportunities to further my knowledge of situations pertaining to student discipline and behavior, as well as activities and athletic programs. I do realize now that one of my weaknesses is going to be curriculum and instruction. That's something I need to focus more attention on and become a little stronger in my knowledge of those areas. My experiences have taught me that without discipline and effective management of a school that creates a safe and efficient learning environment, effective learning cannot take place. But that effective learning in turn needs to be rigorous, engaging, and real-world applicable for the process to be complete. Here are some of the articles that I used for the research portion of the practicum. The tablet takeover was taken from Educational Leadership and outlines the importance of embracing tablet technology as well as in giving pointers for their use in schools. Writing across the K-12 curriculum was taken from District Administration and emphasizes the new writing curriculum brought forth by the Common Core mandates. 5 critical mistakes schools make with iPads identifies commonly made mistakes that schools can avoid when implementing iPad use. This was taken from Edudemic, which was an online resource. The ability to adjust is critical for an athletic administrator was taken from High School Today and explains the importance of being flexible in an athletic administrative position. Preparation begins with the development of emergency action plan. This article explains the importance of an athletic administrator to effectively develop and communicate a plan of emergency, especially when hosting an event. Homework or not was taken from District Administration and deals with the debate over whether or not homework leads to higher classroom achievement. It provides research arguments for both sides of the debate. Network infrastructure requirements for Common Core Common Core assessments deals with the issue of wireless internet capabilities and how they relate to online assessments, particularly with Common Core. How poverty affects classroom engagement was taken from Educational Leadership and identifies 7 reasons that low-income students are more likely to struggle with engagement and how schools can address them. Ask Yourself was an article from Educational Leadership written by Marzano, emphasizing that teachers reflect on their classroom activities in order to understand why students are or aren't engaged. The last article was What You're Missing When It Comes to Brain Injuries, and it was taken from Coach and Athletic Director and is a general update on the legal and safety issues associated with concussions in sports. Here is a scan of my summative evaluation form signed by Sean Henderson, principal of Ellenwood High School. And I would like to thank Sean Henderson, Eric Shugren, principal Ellenwood Elementary School, Ben Jacobs, superintendent USD 355, Tim Freese, principal Great Bend High School, Ron Wilson, principal Abilene Middle School, Todd Beam, principal Roosevelt Elementary in McPherson, Kansas, and Art Baker, principal Jefferson Elementary, Great Bend, Kansas. This concludes my Building Leadership Practicum portfolio. Thank you for your time.